Today, I'm going to be surviving 100 days in Minecraft Hardcore. And this is my craziest video yet, so let's just jump straight into it. I began this world in a very interesting area, on the side of a massive mountain. I didn't know you were all in my Minecraft world. I made my way down the mountain whilst being paranoid of powdered snow so I could get myself some wood in order to craft up a wooden pickaxe, and then using this, I went to a nearby cave to collect some stone for a stone pickaxe. I then collected even more stone so I could craft up some more stone tools. I also picked up some coal and found an emerald, and then inside this big cave, I fought off my first few mobs of this world. Now, I was going to look further into this cave, however, I decided against this right now because I really needed food. So with this in mind, I went out and looked for some animals. I also crafted up a furnace, and whilst I was still looking around for animals, I instead found some sweet berries. So I collected all of those, and off in the distance, I found a spruce village. Putting that aside, as I was running to the village, I saw some more food. Alright, at the village, I stole a blue bed, looted a chest, which had some potatoes and other stuff inside, and then I attempted to scale up the most annoying village in the world. Yeah, having this village on the side of a mountain was not very practical whatsoever. I collected some iron on the side of the mountain, stole some crops, collected even more iron, and then I collected some more coal and decided to leave the village since it wasn't very fun going around this mountain. And instead, I ran around until the sun eventually started to set, so I went to sleep. And as I woke up, I was attacked by a zombie. Off in the distance, I found a ruined portal off on the side of another mountain. Anyways, I also found another village, and inside the ruined portal chest, I got some obsidian, flint and steel, and a hoe with fortune 2 on it. And when I wanted to leave, I fell down into powdered snow. Man, why does this block even exist? Now, I went over to the village that I had just found, and when I arrived, I obviously started looting it. Also, across the water, I found another village. But for now, I had to loot the one that I was currently at. I collected crops, mined up more iron, and then crafted a stone hoe so I could collect some hay bales. Also, inside a chest, I got myself some Jordans and a Gucci shirt. I don't know any expensive clothes. I looted one more chest, collected some more hay bales, and then I crafted up a boat to cross the water to loot the other village. Here, I looted the blacksmith, getting my first diamond, and after that, I went around collecting way more hay bales. Also, finally found my first iron golem of this world. Yeah, for some reason, the other two villages, I just couldn't find it. Now, I could have defeated the iron golem for the iron, but instead, I just let him live. Then, moving on to starting to cook all the food that I had previously collected. And whilst I waited for that to cook, I was going to go over to a nearby shipwreck in the ocean in hopes to get some decent loot. The first one that I looted had iron, lapis, emeralds, and even a buried treasure map. And before I went over to the second shipwreck that I had seen, I went back to my furnace to craft up a chest so I could clear out my inventory. Now it was time for the second shipwreck. I quickly collected some sugarcane, and then off I went, setting sail. This second ship had basically nothing, but as I was leaving, I saw another village off in the distance. So many villages. This one was different though. It was an abandoned village. Though it did have one thing. Loads of hay bales. Yeah, I just stole all the food from this place. I also got some pants and some emeralds from a chest. And then I collected even more food. But eventually, it started turning nighttime, so I returned back to where my furnace and chest was at. And the next morning, I started smelting up all the iron that I had lying around in my chest too. I defeated a couple mobs that was still around from the nighttime. And then I went back to waiting for all the iron to smelt. I wanted to use this so I could craft up some iron armor pieces, as well as the iron tools. And now that I had all of that, I could go exploring once again. This time, however, I was actually wanting to loot that buried treasure that I could locate using the treasure map from the shipwreck. I found a pillager outpost on my way, a ruined portal as well, though that chest didn't have anything too crazy inside. So I continued my treasure hunt, eventually finding it, giving me some decent loot, also nothing too crazy as well. So now after that, all I really had to do was to return back home. and obviously fight off a few mobs before I could sleep as well. Now, you're probably not going to believe what I'm about to say. I'm not exactly too sure how this part took me so long. However, for the next 5 days, all I did was, mine grass and place dirt. No, really. So basically, right now, my main focus was on flattening this area out so I could build up a house relatively soon. And I didn't know how big this house build was going to be, so I kind of just flattened out a lot of land. Oh yeah, I also forgot to mention I trapped villagers on day 5. Alright, cool, that's done. I now cleared out my inventory and crafted up a shield because I was now going to go ahead and mine for diamonds. Since I had loads of building in mind, I was going to have to collect loads of materials, and I thought if I had diamond tools right now, it would cut down the material collecting process by a ton. Haha, you can't get me. Oh! In these caves, I started by collecting loads of coal. Go away, go away. Oh, I then moved on to collecting some iron, followed by collecting lapis, then gold, and well, after that, I could finally go around the mines and collect that lovely light blue material, the diamonds. I'm just gonna save us all some time here. So, instead of yapping over all this mining, diamonds! Boom. Okay, so I've collected a decent amount so far, and this diamond mining session was then interrupted by me finding an amethyst geode. I love the amethyst block, but for some reason, I didn't collect any. Even though it's my favorite block, I just let it go away. However, at the end of one of these caves, I also found a dungeon spawner thingo. That was a cool find. I got a golden apple from one of the chests, and then I just went straight back to mining up even more diamonds. And I mean a lot more. That was until I found another dungeon that I could loot. Okay, so I was starting to get loads of diamonds, right? And eventually, I was at about 40-ish diamonds, which is when I got the idea to continue mining until I had a whole stack. Did I need a whole stack of diamonds? Absolutely not. Was I going to do it either way? Hell yeah. So that is exactly what I did. Yeah. Okay, I think it's now time to return back home. And before I did anything else, I just watched the sun set and then I went to sleep. And well, now that I'm back at home, I grabbed some leather and then I crafted up an enchant table as well as full diamond armor and all the tools. I then enchanted everything. And now I could go out and actually start collecting all the materials that I would need for my house build. I went to a nearby forest to collect oak wood, and then I went on to collecting some birch wood, as well as spruce wood, and then I collected loads of cobblestone. And after all that, I realized that maybe instead of using birch wood, I should use something like dark oak wood instead. So I went out exploring, looking for one of those forests, but I kinda got distracted on my way. Dog, hold on a minute. Yeah! Wait, where's the other one? I saw another. There we go. All right, come on. Second dog. Yeah! What about a third? Hold on a minute. A third? Oh my god. What about a fourth? Come on. No way we just got 4 dogs, bro. Can I get another? We got a 5th. No way. Is that another? Oh, wait. There are so many over here. Hold on. Yeah, I now had so many dogs, and instead of bringing these dogs along with me on my journey, I took them back home. I didn't want anything bad happening to them, and well, on the following day, I just collected dark oak wood, which meant I could start building up my first house, which, genius me forgot to start recording like half this house build, so, oh well, at least I did get replay mod shots. I started with the house outline, and then I instantly filled the floor in with stripped spruce logs. And then I could move on to building up one of the side walls, followed by the front of the house. As you can see from what I'm building up right now, there was kind of a general block theme for this house build. Dark oak wood, spruce wood, as well as some stone, and later on, I'll be using stone bricks for the roof. I pretty much just spent many days working on all the walls, and then finally using all the cobblestone that I mined up earlier, I then turned them into stone bricks, and then built up the roof. Yeah, that pretty much sums up this entire house building process. I added a few smaller details, like a bunch of trapdoors and buttons for decorations, and also made sure that the window was filled in. And then, boom, house build was done. And also, since I wanted to do this now, I went ahead and moved the chests that I had outside into a newly organized storage area inside my house. I started the next day off with an interesting surprise. Whoa! As you could tell by my reaction time, I clearly was not paying attention to this game, so it was kind of lucky that it didn't blow up my house. Anyways, today, my objective was to work on some farms, starting with animal farms. To start building up all these animal pens, I cleared out a bunch of grass off the grass blocks, which then meant I could use a ton of oak fences to start building up loads of animal pens using the fences. What am I saying? And now that was done, I could bring loads of animals over, trapping them for the rest of their lives. And now the animal farms were done, I also wanted to make some crop farms too. So yeah, I did that. Anyways, it's now time to do something pretty exciting or terrifying. Depends which way you want to look at this. It's now time for the Nether. Alright, wait a minute. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves here. I still need to collect some obsidian so I can build up a nether portal and then finally enter into the nether. I spawned in a soul sand valley, which reminded me I should probably get a shield. So I quickly returned back home to craft one of those up. And then it was time to go out and start exploring this vast nether dimension for everything I would need. And not too long later, I actually found a bastion. This was great because it would allow me to hopefully get my hands on the netherite upgrade template, which would be very important for later when I want netherite armor. I collected gold blocks, fought off mobs, and even looted quite a lot of chests. However, unfortunately, this bastion didn't have anything I actually needed. So I left and just continued looking around in the nether, somehow finding another bastion before I could even find a nether fortress. So I bridged over to this one. I looted a few more chests here as well, which was good because I could get my hands on loads of arrows from this bastion, which would be handy for the ender dragon and potential wither fights later. I fought off loads of mobs, and then eventually I went into the main part of this bastion, and this was great because I could collect gold blocks, and I also got a few netherite upgrade templates, as well as a netherite ingot too. But of course, the most important part were these gold blocks, because obviously gold is more valuable than netherite. Anyways, it's now time to look for our nether fortress, which I did find, obviously. So now I could go inside and start farming the blaze spawner, defeating as many blazes as I would need until I had a total of 12 blaze rods. This didn't take too long, though once I did have all the blaze rods I would need, I actually decided to start collecting 3 wither skeleton skulls too, so I could defeat the wither later as well. Now this is exactly where things end up taking a very long time. Not only did this take a total of 2 days to collect the first wither skeleton skull, that was actually pretty fast compared to gathering the other 2 that I would need. I continued going around destroying so many wither skeletons until I started going insane. It took me another 4 days to collect the second skull, and on top of that, another 3 for the third skull. And the sad part about all of this as well is I still wasn't done with the nether. No, because now I needed to go to a crimson forest in order to start using all the gold that I gathered from the bastions earlier. This was to trade with piglins for ender pearls, because I now wanted ender pearls. And lucky for me, this actually didn't take too long, getting a total of 16 ender pearls, which meant I could finally return back home. Phew, what a nether trip, man. That took so long. I now wanted to start preparing for the end, but see how my screen is frozen right now? Yeah, that's exactly what my screen looks like for this entire day. So I'm going to do a bit of reenacting, and this should show you exactly what happened on this day. I started by crafting up a bow and enchanting it. Oh, and on top of all of that, the arrows that I got from the bastions earlier wasn't going to be enough. So I went over to the villagers, gave them a fletching profession, and turned loads of wood into sticks, and then traded those sticks for emeralds, which I could then use those emeralds to trade for arrows. Also, I crafted up some eyes of ender, and then it was time to go and explore, looking for the stronghold. And this is where things eventually fixed itself. I threw a few more eyes of ender until it was finally time to dig straight down into the stronghold. I found myself running around and fighting off loads of mobs for quite a while whilst I was exploring around through this stronghold. And eventually, I came across a library where, obviously, like every single other world, I broke some bookshelves for the books, so I could easily get a max enchant table later on in this world. But apart from that, I ran around even further, eventually finding myself in the portal room, so I could place all the eyes into the end portal frames, lighting the portal. And now it was time for the dragon dragon fight. I shot out the first crystal, followed by the second, and I continued doing this until every single crystal was broken, which then meant I could go on to damaging the dragon, taking down its health. Eventually, the dragon started to perch, so I used my sword to continue damaging it even further. And eventually, it was about that time where I took my final hits, defeating the Ender Dragon. Take that. Obviously, I collected all the XP and the dragon egg, and now it's time to go out to the outer end islands and explore, looking around for the end cities so I can get my hands on an elytra. This took so long to find an elytra. Take a look at that day counter. See how it goes up to day 63? Yeah, that's exactly how long I spent in these outer end islands trying to get myself an elytra. Well, actually, technically 2 elytras, but you don't get to see the second elytra because, this is what my gameplay looks like. Again, why is my gameplay keep freezing, man? Come on. And it was even like this on day 64, which is unfortunate because on this day, I got myself some really good armor and tools by combining everything from the end cities, and I also got my hands on a bad omen bottle from a pillager spawning near my house. This is useful because I'll be using this for something later. And on top of all of that, I also went around to loads of sheep for wool and loads of villagers for beds because now I was going to be going out and collecting netherite. I blew up lots of beds, 42 to be exact, and, well, you want to know how many pieces of ancient debris I got? Well, you're just about to find out. But first, satisfying bed blowing up montage, woo! I got 8 ancient debris from that. Surely my luck can't be that bad in this world, right? Well, putting that aside, I quickly returned back home and started smelting up all the ancient debris, duplicating my netherite upgrade templates, and then I upgraded 3 pieces of armor. I could do 3 since I had that ingot from the bastion earlier, but I wanted full netherite armor. So I returned back to the nether, and using my pickaxe, I collected a few more ancient debris, which allowed me to upgrade my final armor piece. And now that I was much stronger, I was able to go ahead and start a raid so I could get some totems since this still was hardcore Minecraft. And why not be safer and obtain an item that would literally give me a second chance at life? So I ran over to a village that was quite far away, and then I started a raid using the bottle of bad omen that I got from the pillager earlier. I started the raid and, well, this isn't very exciting, is it? I just went around defeating all the raid mobs until it finished. And I ended up with 2 totems of undying, which meant I could return back home. The next few days were more chill if anything, because we have done quite a lot recently. I just did a few random tasks such as making pathways and transporting some pigs into my animal farm since I didn't do that earlier. And then I went out and collected loads of wood because I now wanted to build up a villager trading hall. So I went to a nearby spruce forest to collect even more of that wood. And then I built up the trading thing. Yeah. Which was then followed by spending quite a long time trying to transport villagers from that big hole that I had in the ground all the way over to their new homes where they would trade me loot for the rest of their lives. Anyways, I also gave them traits. I got 2 librarians. One was a mending villager, which I bought a few mending books from, and I also got another villager that had an unbreaking 3 trade, which I would use to put on elytras, armor, and tools. You get the point. And well, putting all that aside, I now wanted to get my hands on the beacon. And there was only really one way to do that, and that was by defeating the Wither, which conveniently for present me, I collected 3 Wither skeleton skulls earlier that was just sitting in my chest right now. Good morning, dogs. This is a big day, because today I am going to be putting this world to risk once again. Because as you can see, I am holding 3 Wither skeleton skulls and some soul sand. And if any of you guys know what this combination makes, well, you know, I might never see you again. But I'm too good for that, and I don't think that will be the case. Plus, I have a couple of totems. So, enjoy your rest, and I will be back with a beacon. So I dug a hallway underground, followed by a room, and then I summoned the Wither. But because my armor was so good, I took like no damage whatsoever. I didn't even need the totems. This is great. Because now I also had the Nether Star, which meant I could craft up the beacon. Now, I wouldn't be able to get a max beacon just yet since I didn't have enough ores for all the blocks, but we can get that another time. We're really not in any rush right now. It's just pretty cool to have this beacon either way. But since I also had quite a bit of free time in this world still, I had to do something. I had to build up an automatic mob farm. One that was quite overpowered, but obviously I needed to collect loads of materials before I even want to build that thing up. I started by collecting loads of wood because one log can be turned into 4 blocks. I then collected stone, sand, redstone, even quartz. But that is pretty much everything I needed for this build. So now I could go ahead and build up the automatic farm. And well, this thing's quite easy to build if you're someone like me. I may have built this farm up like 100 times at this point. It's just really good. I got this farm design from Shulker Crafts, but yeah, I'm mainly building this for the gunpowder, and I guess the other mob drops like string and bones are not too bad either. I spent quite a few days building this up because still, it is quite time consuming, but eventually, just like everything else, I finished off this farm. And although I still had 6 days left, I wasn't going to AFK here because I wanted to do something else. So you all know this beacon that I just got. I now kind of want to get a max version, so I'm going to be spending the rest of my days trying to get a max beacon. And I'm going to start off by trading with villagers and seeing how many emeralds I can get from this and hopefully get closer to a max beacon. Obviously, I can trade tons of crops with these villagers, but I think right now my best bet is to get a ton of wood for sticks and trade that with the villagers. So I quickly went over to a nearby forest and started collecting loads of wood. I was going to need stacks of logs if I wanted to get anywhere near a max beacon. And then I traded with the villagers. I then crafted up loads of ore blocks using everything I had in my chests and all the emeralds I just traded for, and then I started making the new beacon. We are very far off. And now I have one last idea, and that is to go through to the Nether, and using my Silk Touch pickaxe, I can go around the Nether and start mining up all the gold ore that I find in the Netherrack. And for the final 3 days, I went around collecting as much gold as I could, and I ended up getting 8 stacks of these ores. So I went ahead and crafted up a few furnaces so I could smelt all that ore into the ingots, which would then mean I could craft up a ton of gold blocks, which you probably could have guessed from the beginning. I didn't end up getting enough for the max beacon. So if we do 200 days, that's definitely something that I can work towards. Let me know, should I do 200 days? Apart from that, thanks for watching. Consider subscribing. This is a brand new YouTube channel. Anyways, I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.